Hello gamers, I'm Ankh, and in this series we will talk about the Sword Trial and Hero Realm boss fights. In this particular video, we will take a look at the Drunk Master. I will not waste your time with the very basic information that applies to all of these fights. I will just remind you that yellow abilities have to be dodged, while red abilities can be parried. At the same time, I want to remind you not to forget about mystic skills, as they are very impactful. Anyway, without further ado, let's talk about this boss fight. The Drunk Master fight is, as expected, themed around alcohol, and he has a unique intoxication mechanic. This intoxication mechanic is what the fight revolves around, and you can see the meter next to the boss's health bar that will display this information. The objective is not to allow the boss to get sober or too drunk, so keeping him somewhere between 20 and 90, ideally at around 60. If this intoxication level gets too low or too high, he will do a wipe mechanic. The alcohol level drains over time, so there are two ways to control this level. First, there are 5 massive wine jars on the outskirts of the area. You can easily spot them as they have HP bars. Breaking any of these jars will provide 50 intoxication. The player that breaks the jar will be crowd controlled, and the boss will cast Furious Strike on them, which is a massive yellow AoE skill. Right before this attack hits, the player will be released from crowd control and they must dodge. You can also use Serene Breeze mystic skill to escape this crowd control earlier, but personally I found it unnecessary, maybe even counterproductive. That being said, there is an achievement to defeat the boss without breaking any of the jars, and the second method will be vital to achieve this. Casting the mystic skill Dragon's Breath on the boss will provide 15 intoxication. So if everyone in the party contributes to this, it is extremely easy to maintain the intoxication level. I believe even only 2 people using Dragon Breath properly will manage to maintain the meter. In my opinion, this is a much more elegant solution and much easier than having to go around breaking jars. Of course, unless you need to do that for one of the talents, but it is a one-time thing and fairly easy to do anyway. The next mechanic that will be present throughout the fight is flying wine gourds. This will simply fly around and they create wine puddles around the area. Staying in these wine puddles will intoxicate the player, so do not. Now that I explained the general mechanics around this fight, let's take a look at the more specific skills the boss has. The first skill, Gourd Smash. He will target one player, he will do 4 medium ranged attacks towards that player without moving from his initial position, and then finish this move by smashing the gourd on the ground. The targeted player can choose to move away, simply outside of the range of the boss, or even parry these attacks. The next skill is Wine Blade. He will target one player and do 4 attacks at this player's location. Running away is pointless, but these attacks can be either parried or dodged. Sometimes, after Wine Blade, he will cast Pot Tremble. This is a red medium-sized AoE. Every player in the party should move inside this AoE and attempt to parry the skill, as it will contribute to breaking the boss's chi bar, which, as you should know by now, is massively beneficial. Next is the skill Strong Breeze. He will jump in the air, spin around and then jump in the middle, creating an explosive fire wave on the whole area. This skill can be dodged or triple jumped over. I'm not entirely sure if the triple jump mechanic is an intended mechanic, so it might be patched out of the game at a later date, so just keep that in mind based on when you are watching this video. Another skill is Drink My Friend. He will spin the gourd around, knocking down any target hit by it and creating alcohol puddles on the ground in front of him. Later in the fight, this skill will evolve and be called Drink With Him. The only difference is that he will spin twice and target all the targets around him, not only in front. Dodging away from him when this skill is announced will avoid this mechanic completely. Sadly, and confusingly so, there is another skill with the same name, Drink My Friend. However, you will be able to tell the difference as he will jump in the middle of the area and 2 players will have yellow highlighted crosses on them. These 2 players need to position themselves so one of the lines of these crosses hits the boss and as a result interrupts his casting. This will also create temporary fire areas where these players were, so don't stay in that fire. Usually after this mechanic he will cast Finest Wine. This is probably the most problematic ability, and from my experience this is where people end up failing. He will cast 4 fire waves that each target half of the arena. After each fire wave, he will rotate clockwise for a quarter of the arena. This attack can also be triple jumped over, and as I explained previously, this may not be intended, but these attacks can also be dodged with proper timing. However, by far the easiest way to deal with this is simply to move as close as possible to the boss and just keep staying behind him as he does this skill. The last ability that he has in his arsenal, if everything goes well, is Spirit Splash. He will target a cone in front of him and spit fire in that cone. It is fairly easy to deal with, just move out of the highlighted area. If things don't go well, meaning he drops to 0 intoxication or reaches over 120, he will use an ability called Annihilation, which is a wipe mechanic, but if you follow this guide, you shouldn't have to worry about this ability. That's it basically for the boss. Fairly simple boss, and now that you know how to deal with these mechanics, it should be fairly easy to also complete the challenges for the talents. So we reached the end. If you made it so far, thanks for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe and comment, or don't. See you in the next one, gamers.